Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. You are catching me if you're watching this on YouTube in my post-workout setting, but what can I say? I needed to make this podcast recording and it hit me last night, or actually it hit me during my workout what I should do a recording on for you this week. And it was something that a friend of mine while watching our girls practice last night said to me, and it just hit home. It's gonna be something that's very applicable for everyone in here, especially if you do have kids. But it's gonna be really helpful for parents as well. And that is the statement that people will treat us the way that we allow them to. And that just goes to show that we need to set boundaries and expectations for how we need to have people respect us. So if we allow people to push us around and we have a reaction to it, that's going to allow them to keep on pushing us around, to keep on causing us to have that reaction to their actions. And we have to be the bigger person in those situations. We need to be able to look past the current moment and get that delayed gratification, knowing that that karma is going to come back for both of us. And it's a big concept to try and explain to kids, right? Especially like my 10-year-old. She's almost 11. She is very mature for her age, but she does deal a lot with kind of getting pushed around sometimes, and she will stand up for anyone except for herself. And I know a lot of adults this way too, myself probably included. For a very long time I would stand up for anyone else, go to battle for anyone else, toe to toe for anyone else except for myself. I would allow myself to be, the dish rag. I would be the floor mat that everybody wiped their feet on, bend over backwards for people that wouldn't even, drop anything to come help me at all. And I think that it's just really important to understand that we don't need to be treated that way. And that is only going to wear us down more and make life harder. And so, like she was saying, and we're not going to go into details about why we're having this conversation, but people will treat us the way that we're going to allow them to. So we need to be able to teach our kids how to set boundaries with people by showing them how we do it ourselves. So if they see you, mom or dad, getting pushed around by friends, by other moms at the PTA, by other moms at the basketball court, by, your coworkers or your boss, and getting pushed around in a like not inappropriate way, but in a poor expectation type of way where they're just constantly razzing you, or they're asking so much of you, and then they take, all of the gratitude and responsibility for the success, and maybe they push all of the blame for something that wasn't successful onto you, and then you take it, right? And you take it and you take it and you take it, and that's because you've developed that habit that it's easier to just take it than to be confrontational. I suck at being confrontational, but I have learned that it's really important to be confrontational when necessary, not with my fists by any means, but with what my standards are for my respect and how people are going to treat me. And I think it's just going to hit home if your kiddos see you demanding that kind of respect for yourself, because they will start to demand that kind of respect for themselves and do it in the right way. And so by no means am I telling you to go out to your boss and say, like, give them the bird and, walk out, unless that's justified and you have a backup plan for what you're going to do next. But I am saying we need to start figuring out how or what respect looks like for us, what we should and should not be giving into, where our boundary really lies, that kind of thing, so that we stop saying this example of it being okay for people to push us around. And we don't need that. We need stronger, more resilient people. We need stronger, more resilient kids. Anything we can do to set a stronger example for them is going to be so essential for their success as they grow, in my opinion, because I know that when, like, we grew up, and a lot of us are about my age in their mid 30s, that it was probably a little bit easier to grow up in our generation because there wasn't so much technology, there wasn't so much social media. What may have been happening at school didn't usually follow you home, and now all of it's always connected, and there's always all the extra that our kids are dealing with. And so it's just really, really helpful to help set them up for that strong long-term, I set my boundary here. This is the kind of respect I demand. This is the kind of respect that I earn. You treat others with respect. You expect to have that type of, respect given back. And if other people around them don't want to treat them that way, then we have to teach them purely how to outwork them. And that's something that can be shown true in a workplace too, or, something like that for you. Doesn't always work, but honestly, like, especially when it comes to kids or sports teams or class projects or whatever the case is, if someone has it out, and say we're talking about our kids, another kid has it out for your kid, they don't like them, or they're giving them a hard time, or they're always teasing them, always razzing them, making life harder for no good reason, and your kid gets frustrated with it, they have every right to be frustrated, right? So recognize that, because frustration is a natural emotion, but it's how we like manage that frustration and how we're able to funnel that into something productive. And often today, in today's time, frustration leads into anger and fists and jabbing out and things like that. It's just not necessary. And I really love to point out the fact, like, you might be frustrated right now, and that's okay. But the only way that you're going to make this other person stop giving you a hard time is if you outwork them. You be the better player. You don't do the dirty things they're doing. They're not going to get further along than you by playing that way or by being that way, regardless of whatever your situation is. Be the bigger person and be the better player, and they won't be able to do anything when you're running laps around them, and they won't be able to say anything mean when you are the more talented player, when you put in the work and the effort to do better with your actions instead of with your words. And that's going to be huge, right? And I just think that that is going to be so helpful for so many kids. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a basketball court. Maybe this is, in your kids' class project where they're working with a couple of other kids in their class, or maybe they are trying to get a new seat in the band, or they're trying to, earn a higher belt in karate, or whatever the case is. Wherever your kid is having a hard time with this, have them learn how to be that bigger person and how to put in the effort and the work to outwork the other person. That will make them stop in their tracks, because they won't have anything that they're able to say. And that is what's going to finally make them stop. It's not by your kid, standing up to them with their fists and, saying mean things or getting on their level and getting revenge. Have them learn that delayed gratification is the best revenge, that you put in the work and the effort to become better at whatever their game is. And then they can't say anything to you anymore. You can no longer be that target because you are doing better. And that is something that's really, really big. And that karma piece is going to come back. I've talked to my kids about what karma is so many times: good karma, bad karma, why we might get good or bad things coming towards us. And it's actually true, because karma is related to energy. And the more good energy that you put out, the more good energy you're going to get back. Like, how you have those days where you start out and you're like, God, I got up on the wrong side of the bed and I stubbed my toe and the laundry dryer didn't start, so my clothes weren't dry, and the shower was cold, and like, you just go with all these bad things. You're attracting all this negative energy because you can't seem to get away from the one thing that maybe wasn't, an opportune thing to happen. And then more negative things are going to continue to happen because you're just so focused on the negatives. We have to teach them and teach ourselves how to attract that positive energy, how to be the positive energy. And when you do that, you're gonna get further along. That good karma is gonna come back and help you. Meanwhile, with the people that are doing the pushing and the shoving, that are doing the things that are being very frustrating, that bad karma, sorry to say it, is going to come back and bite them in the ass every time. I don't care if you are 10, 45, 70. If you are putting out negative energy, if you are being difficult for people for no good reason, that bad karma is going to come back and get you. And that's all there is to it. So if you're surrounded by these negative people, these crabs and buckets, move forward, be better, be stronger. Look for that delayed gratification. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be this year, but it will be, as long as you continue to put in the effort and work forward. So hopefully this hits home for some people. Hopefully it helps you look at things a little bit different. Hopefully it helps you with your kids working through maybe a difficult situation with another person. So hope you guys have an awesome day. If you need anything, as always, reach out.